Hello guys. So it is the final classical game of the Women's World Championship match. The score before this one: Ju Wenjun 5 points, Tan Zhongyi 4 points. So it's clear that Tan Zhongyi needs to win this game with the black pieces to even the score and send it to a tiebreaker. But let's see what happened. Ju Wenjun with white. Yes, as in every game so far, opened with a d4. And now an interesting choice by Zhongyi. She plays g6. And this is something you quite often see when black has to win. He might go for sort of non-standard systems like this. This could transpose to a King's Indian. But after e4 here by white, it's clear that we're going to get a perk or a motan. So d6 is played and bishop c4. Now if you go with a knight to f6, it's a perk defense, but if you keep the knight for the time being on g8, then it's considered a modern defense, so-called, which is characterized by this development. E6 was played here. I will point out to you that in case of knight f6, a very cool system is queen to e2, and I did already cover a game on this channel from the US Chess Championship, where Nakamura with the black pieces was, well, more or less dominated by Sviat Isoria in this exact line. So it's a line with some venom that I recommend that you take a look at if you need a line against the perk. But with e6, black is signaling that she most likely is going to play a hippo setup, hippopotamus. And that is, yeah, put the knights on d7 and e7, fianchetted bishop, and you fianchetted the other one as well, and the pawns go to a6, b6, and h6 here. However, after castles at knight e7, Ju Wenjun does play a slightly clever move. And maybe black should have gone a6 instead of knight e7, because now on a4, black can't really set up with a6 and b6 now. Because if you go a6 now, I go a5, and you can play b6, but in general, if you go here or here, a trade like this is considered good for white, because you traded an a pawn for a c pawn. And the way computers think and chess works in general, you can say that the c pawn is more valuable. So it's a slight sort of a small win for white if that happens. Same if you go b6, I go a5, and you can't really set up with a6 or get the setup that you want. So a4 was a clever move by Ju Wenjun. Knight d7, c3, a5. Yeah, now Tan Zhongyi decides she wants to fianchetto this bishop, so therefore she has to play a5. But now you lost sort of the flexibility that you normally have in a hippo setup. Normally you have this a pawn on a6, and that gives you more flexibility with the pawns. You can meet a5 with b5, and you cover the b5 square, etc. Meanwhile, now after having played a5, okay, you do get the bishop here, but you're also giving up some squares, and especially when you start moving stuff in the center of the c pawn, you're leaving some squares that you otherwise would have covered. h6, bishop to d3. Yeah, she wants the c4 square for the knight. Bishop b7, knight to c4. Black is quite flexible in the center, but again, he would like to have this pawn here on a6. Then we would have a standard hippo setup, and well, this setup here, it's quite solid for white against the hippo. I once had John Shaw play it against me, and I think he even recommends it in a recent book, I'm being told, and he actually has the game that he won against me in that book, I heard. Anyway, queen e2. Why does my nose always itch? Queen e2, e5. So Tan decides to change the pawn structure, and after this we have sort of a King's Indian type pawn structure. If white goes d5, then black will play for f5, and d5 is a bad move here. Now f5, and we start undermining the center. We can take now on e4, and this pawn here will become considerably weak. But d5 is not a good move here. Instead, she took on e5, d takes e5, and b3. This, of course, has the idea of putting the bishop on a3, which it does. And this queen b8 move, I didn't really understand it. Seems like black wanted to have some added protection, I guess, on e5. She now played c5. And maybe the idea was to move the rook, then move the knight, something like this, and have e5 covered. But it's just a guess. Queen b8 was a little cryptic. Rook a to d1, rook d8, bishop to c1. The bishop kind of finished its job on this diagonal. It made black play c5. And now you have a very nice knight here on c4, and also this square here is, yeah, white's for the taking. So we can say that white's opening has been a success. She's very solid, and she only needs a draw. So things are looking very good for Ju Wenjun. But now bishop to c6, bishop c2. Again, maybe you'd like to add pressure on e4, but it doesn't really do much. So she played queen c7 instead. Also, you have to keep an eye out for knight d6 ideas and threats. Knight a3. It's clear the knight is eyeing the b5 square now. And now, with the situation, well, as it was, black has to go for the win. So therefore we see a slightly wild move here, g5 by Tan Zhongyi. And we can see that there are a bunch of light square weaknesses all around black's camp. And h4 now. And black is simply not ready for aggressive actions on the king side. She played g4, but now actually it's white who's taking over the initiative on the king side. This pawn is attacked. After h5, white starts to open things up with f3. And after takes, I mean, otherwise we take on g4. Now this is hanging, and it seems the black position is simply falling apart here. Bishop g5, a good move. And then she takes on h5. This is attack. You can't take here, everything will crumble. So knight d to f8 was played. Maybe knight f4 was possible. Oops, sorry, knight e8. Then bishop is attacked. Bishop went to e3. Bishop e8. And now a little bit of provocation by Ju Wenjun. She played queen g4, and after bishop d7, she simply went back to h5. I mean, white is much better, but she only needs a draw to secure the title. So of course, black can't go back to e8 like she originally did. So she has to find something else, and she played bishop to e6. Knight came into b5. And yeah, aside from being a pawn up, white just has an attack, beautiful pieces, and just full control. There's not a hint of counterplay for black here. Knight to g4. We see some trades. Rook d8. Another trade. And now, yeah, knight h6. Black has to take now. Otherwise, we will have a discovered check winning the queen. So bishop takes h6. So now white has the bishop pair. And notice how effective the bishops are in covering the entry squares for the black queen. There's no entry on the d file. Again, we have this dance, but now she doesn't go to h5, she goes to g3. So it seems like she decided, okay, my position is too good not to try to win this. Sort of like Caruana did in his and the candidates and Grenke. Bishop to e3, queen d7. And now white, I mean, yeah, pawn up, bishop pair, full control. Better pieces, this should be completely winning. But what happened was knight g7, knight d6. Okay, offers a trade. I mean, black has to keep the pieces on if he wants to try anything. And now she offers the repetition again. She can't Can't do anything about it. Queen d8, queen d2, and knight f5. Yeah, now finally the queen comes in. Again, offering the trade, and black of course doesn't take. Bishop h6. Yeah, queen b7 was very tempting as well. This should be completely winning. And yeah, I can just start mopping up pawns here with queen takes b6. Computer says +5, over 5 actually. But knight g7, and this forces some trades actually. You can't take now because of the mate. So queen e7 had to be played. And now with the queen trade, black can never win this. Black has a pawn down. So now it's just a matter of if white can win this. And white probably should, but what happened was, yes, she failed to find a way through, and eventually after h5 and bishop g5, she decided to accept the fact that a draw was good for her and took on g5. And this of course means after king f3 that there is no entry for the king. It reminds me a little bit of my endgame I had the other day from the Iceland North Congress, which I analyzed here. No entry for the king, but there I had I had one last extra trick, but here there's nothing. We will simply just move the king back and forth, and black can't do anything. So a draw was agreed, and Ju Wenjun is the new women's world champion. Congratulations to her. That's the good news. The bad news is I think she will only hold on for the title for about 6 months or so, as the knockout tournament will be later this year, which is a bit strange, but yeah, that's the way it is. But anyway, I mean, I did enjoy this match. You know, it had some interesting moments. You know, I thought, you know, at times it wasn't like great quality, but overall pretty good, pretty good. Anyway, yeah, this wraps up the coverage of the Women's World Championship. So now we can move on to other things. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in another chess video. Bye bye.